Greetings! Today we will have a look at the good old Fume Knight from the second Dark Souls 2 DLC. According to some official data, he's one of the most punishing bosses in Dark Souls 2 and can be considered very difficult. I would say he's one of the hardest bosses in Souls, but that depends heavily on your playstyle. Also keep in mind that this guide is for players who struggle with this boss or want to learn more about his mechanics. But let's start with some preparation. The first thing you should do is activate the bonfire. If you stay close to the left wall, you won't trigger those giants sleeping under the earth. The second thing you should do is destroying the 4 ashen idols around the boss room, because they will heal the boss if he gets close to them. You can destroy them with an item called Smelter Wedge, and you need 1 Smelter Wedge for each ashen idol. But don't worry, you can find 10 Smelter Wedges without fighting any bosses. So let's check out the boss fight itself. What is important and what makes it difficult. If you walk through that fog gate, the boss fight won't start immediately. You have time to prepare yourself for the boss fight until you move to a certain point in the arena, even if you have died to him before. If you plan your equipment, you should focus on stamina regeneration, because stamina management is key to this fight. And here we come to my first piece of advice. Every time the boss fight starts, you run straight to the Fume Knight and mash your whole stamina bar right into his face until it's completely empty. And then you back off and regenerate your stamina bar till it's full again. And this is the only time you do this in this fight. Put all your anger and hate into it, because for the rest of the fight, you will only attack him once, if there's an opportunity to attack him. The only exception to this would be if you're using daggers or other very fast weapons, then you can maybe attack him twice. And this is why this fight is actually difficult. Whenever you hit him for too long or use too much stamina to roll away, he will punish you for that. So don't get greedy when you attack him and always watch your stamina bar. So you have the option to roll at least twice. Before we have a closer look at his attacks, let's talk about shields. By now you've probably noticed that I play two-handed and never use my shield for blocking. That is because I think he's much harder to beat with a shield than without a shield. I only use the Blossom Kite shield for extra stamina regeneration. But see it yourself. I use a fully upgraded Germ shield with 80 stability. And just look at my stamina bar. Right, my stamina is so low that I can't attack. And here's the problem. You can't attack after blocking too many hits. And by too many I mean like 2. So you have to mix up blocking and dodging to get hits out. But why block it all if you can dodge everything? So let's have a look at his attacks. First of all, we notice that he has 2 phases. In the first phase he dual wields an Ultra Greatsword and a Greatsword. In the second phase he will only use his Ultra Greatsword, which is now burning and has 2 special AoE attacks. Fun fact, if you equip Felstad's helm you can skip the first phase. But let's check out his attacks. In both phases the Fume Knight has the ability to alter the length of his combos. In the first phase you will very often see this attack pattern. There are 2 important things about this 4-hit combo. First, it is highly punishable after the 4th attack. You can just roll under his last attack and attack him. Remember, only once. The second thing is, his 3rd attack has very bad tracking, so you can just avoid it by walking to the right. Another attack that you can easily punish is this one. It is very slow, easy to recognize and has no follow-ups, but you have to roll to dodge it because it has very good tracking. Quite similar is this attack, just roll under it and hit him. You could think that every time he ends a combo with his Ultra Greatsword that you would be safe to attack, but there's one exception to this. He starts with a Greatsword swing followed by a Ultra Greatsword swing and then another Ultra Greatsword swing. But keep in mind that the second Ultra Greatsword attack is optional, so don't get confused here. So let's have a look at some attacks of the Fume Knight that are there to punish you. If you drink Estus, he will get aggressive and attack you. Often he will do this with a thrust attack of his Greatsword, as you can see in the footage. In contrast to the other thrust attack of his Greatsword, this one has very good tracking and you have to roll it. In rare cases he can also attack you with his Ultra Greatsword. so consider healing only after very safe attacks, for example where he only uses his ultra greatsword. The last two first phase attacks I want to cover are his two little side attacks. You trigger those side attacks if you either stand too long to his right or to his left side. They are fast and require a very good timing to avoid. But let's skip to the second phase of the boss fight. As mentioned before, he will only use his ultra great sword here. Also, when he charges his sword, you can get in some free damage, but don't stay too long and have enough stamina left that you can roll twice. The biggest difference of the second phase is that he now will use two special attacks. The first one, as you can see here, is at the beginning very hard to dodge, but if you know what to do, it becomes very easy. The best way is to recognize this attack early and get as much distance between you and the Fume Knight as possible. Roll like 3 times back and move back further. What this will do is creating gaps between those spheres, and you can just move through them. But sometimes it is not possible to get enough distance between you and the Fume Knight. What you can try is move back and right as far as you can and then find a gap. Just roll left into the gap. It is quite hard to explain, but I hope you see it in the replay. If you have very good timing and enough adaptability, you can also just use your iframes to roll through the sphere and punish. But let's move on to his next special attack, which is very important. The attack is easy to recognize and looks like this. As you can see, the attack is very slow and takes a lot of time for the Fume Knight to finish, and it is a very good opportunity for you to get hits in or to heal. When you see this attack, just roll under it, close to the left side of the Fume Knight. You are not in a hurry because the attack is so slow, and if you roll too early, you will get hit. If you want to beat the Fume Knight, it is a very safe way to just wait for this specific attack and punish it. But let's move on to another punishable attack, his thrust charging attack. It exists in 3 different contexts. 1 where he jumps back and charges you with this attack, 2 to punish your healing where he starts this attack instantly, and 3 as a last attack of a 3-hit combo. In theory and usually you can punish all 3 of them. But be careful, he has the option to add a surprise attack to all 3 variants, but he does it very rarely. In fact, I had trouble recording them because they are so rare. And as you can see, the moves are so delayed that you still will be able to dodge if you just attack once. So don't be afraid to punish this attack, especially if you have the HP for the risk. The next attack we are talking about is quite similar in terms of surprise attacks. As you can see, it looks quite punishable when he smashes his sword into the ground. But as you can see in the footage, he can add 1 or 2 additional attacks to it and make it a 3 or 4 hit combo. From my experience, it is not unusual that he will add at least 1 attack to it. But if you keep in mind that his follow-up attacks are very delayed and that you can attack his hands to keep a certain distance, you should be able to get 1 attack out and still dodge away. The next attack is another potential 4-hit combo. He starts with 2 swings and can add 1 or 2 additional attacks to it. And if you see all 4 attacks, you can definitely punish it, but you have to be fast. This leads us to our probably last attack, his jumping attack. If the Fume Knight has a certain distance to you and the AI assumes that you will heal, sometimes the Fume Knight will jump at you. He can leap quite some distance, but the move is easy to dodge and highly punishable. With this we have most of Fume Knight's attacks covered, and to conclude the video I will give you some general hints. I talk a lot about punishing your enemy in this video. Especially in this fight it is important that you are very fast with it, because the Fume Knight has a lot of tools to punish you back. That means predicting his attacks and dodging his last attack in a way that you can attack him immediately after your roll. Also keep in mind that your rolls have so-called iframes, invulnerability frames. That means you will get no damage even on collision. Also keep in mind that the adaptability stat increases the number of your iframes to a certain point. I recommend a value of 20 here. And to be precise, it is the agility stat that influences your iframes. Also take my stats with a grain of salt, they are a little bit messy. But let's move on. Another point I often mention in the video is healing. Since the Fume Knight has so many tools to punish your healing, I highly recommend that you only heal when he's still in an attack animation. Good examples for attacks where you can heal are his 4-hit combo or the single ultra greatsword swing in the first phase. Or in the second phase his special swipe attack, the 3-hit combo with a thrust attack and his sword smash. And with this you know pretty much everything there is to know about the Fume Knight fight. I hope it helps you a lot. At the end of this video I want to point out what a well-designed boss fight the Fume Knight is. The length of this video represents his versatility. His attacks and his timings are carefully designed to give you a very challenging but still compelling experience. He has so many different attacks and most of them are not just there to block you away or damage you, they give you an opportunity to counter-attack. And if you know what you are doing, you can fight him very aggressively and that is a lot of fun. Sure, on some attacks his hitboxes are a little bit strange, but this is a problem in all Souls games, especially in the second one. Still, for me the Fume Knight is one of my favorite bosses in Souls, even after playing Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne. He's at least in my top 5. At the end of this far too long video, there's only one thing left to say. I hope you found it helpful and enjoyed watching this video. If you have further comments or questions, please write them down into the comments section. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.